Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this City Council meeting to order on April the 18th, 2023. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Carter,
Present.
Councilmember Oliva,
Present.
Councilmember Garcia,
Present.
Mayor Potem Marroquin,
Present.
Mayor Cardenas Singh.
Present. At this time, please, I would like to ask if our council member Edgar Garcia can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and council member Sonia Carter, if you could please lead us in the invocation. We'd ask you to please remain standing for both.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you just gratefully saying thank you, Lord. We just come to you, Lord, today just asking you just to bless the whole entire world, Lord. Put your hands on every single last person and put your hands on our decision making. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Edgar Garcia, Councilmember Sonia Carter, for those beautiful words. With that, I'll go ahead and move us along into our report. Madam City Attorney, if you could please report out on closed session.
Madam Mayor, there is no report from closed session. However, I believe you'll be moving on to add an item to the agenda.
Wonderful. At this time, colleagues, I'd like to add item to our agenda, which would be item 25. We have received a letter asking for a letter of support for Senate Bill 534 from Senator Padilla, Equitable Access to Job Opportunities Pilot Program. So I'd like to be able to add that item to the agenda. Colleagues, if I could please have a motion on that.
Madam Mayor, I move to add as an item 25, which is the letter of support Senate Bill 534 to the agenda.
Second.
Wonderful. We can go ahead and actually vote on the screen.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
been added.
Yes.
Thank you. Please vote. Thank you. Item passes 5-0. Thank you. Item 25. All right. With that, I'll go ahead and move us on to scheduled presentations. And at this time, I'd like to call our Library Appreciation Week, April 24th to the 25th. If I could please call up our Library Director, Ms. Carla.
Hi, thank you. I wanted to let everybody know about the events that we're going to have next week. It's an event-filled week, and we're really excited about it. It's a National Appreciation for the Library Week. We're going to start off giving everybody who comes into the library a big heart, and they can write down why they like the library. And then when they do that, they're going to be entered into a raffle drawing that we're going to have at the end of the week. And it's for a basket that's full of different age books and, of course, chocolate goodies. And the Aquatic Center has also donated passes, and they will be part of that basket as well. And then, starting on Monday, we're going to have button making all day long, and you can do it the entire week. Buttons about how you like the library and different cute little sayings and things like that that you can put on a button to wear. On Tuesday, we are going to get a story time with a firefighter, and that's going to be at 10 o'clock. And then at 1, we're going to have our bookmark crafts. On Tuesday, we're going to have craft time with the mayor, and the mayor is going to be actually reading.
Yes.
Thank you. Reading a little story called Meet the Mayor for little children. And we're really excited about that. That's going to be at 3 o'clock on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have Mr. Trivia coming at 1 o'clock. He's been at the library before, and the children absolutely adore him. And he will be back doing a trivia program for kids. And then at 3 o'clock, we're showing the movie, The Page Master. Then on Thursday, we're having a story time with a police officer. So we're getting great participation from the whole city, and we really appreciate the support for the library. And then Friday, somebody gets to win that great basket and continue to make buttons if you want, and all of the other things. Just wanted to let you know about those events, and thank you to everybody that's participating. And we're really excited about, I think it's going to be a great event for everybody in the community to come to.
Wonderful. Thank you for this wonderful invitation. I know that families have really enjoyed the many activities and events that have taken place in the library. And I know for us on council, we're very proud of the library and the services that it provides in our community. So thank you so much for putting this together and providing this opportunity. Colleagues,
you.
is there anything else that you'd like to add?
They look like great events. I'm sure the community is going to really enjoy it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for putting this on. Thank you.
Sure.
I will just say, just based on your presentation, ma'am, that you've hit the ground running.
Mhm.
We're seeing a lot of things coming out of the library, and it's gearing up to the summertime where I believe a lot of our youth are going to depend on the library as well as our other recreational activities. And so thank you for being mindful of this and generating the attention and the appreciation of the library.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Looking forward to next week. Appreciate that. Wonderful. With great news, that also allows me the opportunity to please call up Imperial County Film Commission's annual report. Hi, Miss Charla. How are you?
Hello, everybody. I want to go to the library activities. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. Something I could definitely get involved with. Get this out here, and I don't know about the rest of you, but it's that time. All right. My name is Charlotte Teeters, and for the past 15 years, if you can believe that, I've been the film commissioner for Imperial County. Some of you, well, most of you I know, a few new faces, and I look forward to getting to know you and working with you here in the very, very short future. Councilwoman Carter, I know we've had a hard time setting up a meeting
Yes.
with things, but our executive board is trying to get that date set for the first week of May. So we're working on that, and I'll let you know ASAP.
Okay, thank you.
And I am thankful for your willingness to serve with the Film Commission and helping us out there and giving us guidance. And we just appreciate your time and your effort.
My pleasure.
As you know, COVID hit the film industry in some devastating ways, and I've talked about that in prior appearances. And I don't want to go into great detail with that, but for those that might just need a really, really quick recap, I want to give a little bit of context. And before COVID, or BC as I like to call it, we averaged 7 to 9 productions a month. Small or big, we had a steady flow of production coming into the Valley. Throughout the shutdown and the restart, the Film Commission worked with many other industry partners such as the PGA and the DGA and Teamsters and the California Film Commission in order to design protocols and industry standards that would help us continue to film and to restart production in the state. If you'd like to know more about those efforts, I'm happy to clarify them offline and catch you up. Our AC era, or after COVID, has been a slow but a steady comeback story. While in 2020 through almost mid-22, we averaged 1 to 2 productions a month, which just hurt my soul. We are now averaging 3 and occasionally 4, so we're creeping up. And I look forward to the day when we get back to those 7 to 9 productions. So I'm like super busy and everywhere and seeing the county and representing the county to all these production companies. And we're working hard to get there. We're currently seeking out marketing opportunities, such as the Film in California concert in July, and other opportunities that are coming up in the fall, such as the American Film Market. As these events are coming back into play, we want to make sure that Imperial County is well represented and reintroduced to location scouts and to production companies. And honestly, a crop of young new filmmakers that we haven't been able to talk to before because for almost the past 3 years, we haven't been able to congregate with them. So we are excited about those networking opportunities and again, representing the county and the cities as we go to those opportunities. In February, the Film Commission was glad to host our first event post-COVID. We held one of our fabulous premiere parties at the Imperial Valley Mall and screened Magic Mike: The Last Dance to a theater full of energetic and enthusiastic audience members. Everybody had fun, and it was great to have a group of people together once again, just enjoying a night of movies. And also it was a fundraiser for the Film Commission, so that was great also. Next on our calendar will be a series of small in-person film festivals. For many years, the Film Commission has held a full-blown film festival and artist showcase that screened stories from our local filmmakers to from all around the country and internationally. We've also done our best to offer quality industry, professionally led educational workshops. We've had some great opportunities with those. And we also always enjoy our local artist gallery that celebrates the relationship between filmmaking and art. These smaller film festivals that will be very genre specific are our effort to gear up for a post-COVID relaunch of the full multi-event in-person film festival, which will be coming up probably in February of 2024. So we're gearing up for that. But first, we need to get our local filmmakers engaged and really creating and getting that content ready for the full festival. Over the past year, El Centro has been a key location and destination for crews while filming in the county. Just recently, a commercial and internet campaign for Black Rifle Coffee was released. If you haven't seen it yet, let me know. I'll send you the link. It's a 10-minute action-packed romp that was mainly filmed in El Centro. And members of your staff and I were on location with driver BJ Baldwin as he drove a speeding Porsche under a big rig and then sped down Commercial Street. And it was a feat that was amazing to see. You have to see it on the screen to believe it. I want to thank your staff, your fire, your police, your public works. All of them did an amazing job with that production. And it was not a simple production. It was very involved and involved all of those different groups. They were great problem solvers. They made it come off without any major hitch. There's always hitches when it comes to production, but they did a great job problem solving and helping me out. So I just want to applaud them and say thank you so much for the hard work that they do. This crew, as well as many others, have stayed in El Centro. They eat in El Centro. They purchase in El Centro. They even hire in El Centro, like Acme and other businesses that support them. And crews love to stay in El Centro. They love your hotels. They love your variety of restaurants. And they also love the variety of businesses that can support their efforts. So they also enjoy the proximity to key locations like Ocotillo and the Superstitions, as well as the South Dunes, which we get a lot of filming in, and simply the city itself. It's always an eye catcher to them. So I appreciate that. And I just want to let you know that El Centro is representing well and they're having good experiences when they stay here.
Thank you.
This year, we've tracked 24 productions. These 24 productions are composed of music videos, independent films, documentaries, reality TV, student films, and still shoots. These 24 productions represent an estimated economic impact of 1.1 million of spend in the local economy. And in the coming months, we have a clothing company, an independent feature film, and possibly a television show that are looking to film before the end of June. Possible projects pop up all the time. I'm really hoping that we've got 6 more coming before the end of June to add to our total so far this fiscal year. Lastly, I just want to extend my thanks to the council for their continued support. The past few years have been rough. They've been rough for me, as you know, health-wise. They've been rough in general for everybody because of COVID, and they've been really hard on the industry. But the Imperial County Film Commission and myself continue to represent our amazing area to Hollywood and beyond. And we appreciate your generosity and your pairing with us, and we look forward to the future. So happy to answer any questions I can.
Wow.
You know what, Madam Mayor, my only question is I appreciate the update and the presence that you have with the film industry and how for folks even that grow up in Imperial County don't realize how we have beautiful spots that are sought out by Hollywood. As you were describing everything, and I'm thinking movies for art purposes, movies for entertainment. And my only question is, what about documentaries?
we get many documentaries.
What
From
would
Nat
you say is the,
Geo and,
okay,
and those
Nat
other
Geo.
kinds of production, Discovery. We have a lot of birding documentaries. We
Mhm.
have documentaries just this past year that have filmed on the mud volcanoes. The one
The mud
especially,
pots.
yeah,
Yeah.
the mud pots. Thank you.
Yeah.
I call them mud volcanoes. We've had burrowing owls come and they shot that. Salton Sea is again, I mean, there's a cycle to that. It falls off and then the Salton Sea comes back as a topic that people want to film more and more, and as the water issues and stuff come up. So we get a lot of documentaries.
Oh, great. Well, I do plan to reach out to see if maybe you can point me in the right direction for a list of them.
I sure can.
You know, there, as you mentioned, there's cycles, and I know that it'll be helpful for me to refresh a lot of issues that are facing Imperial County, whether it's like the renewable energy industry, water, as you know, and so I would very much like to be plugged into the documentary side. So,
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Wonderful. Colleagues?
Charla, I just want to say, I hope that you're doing a lot better health-wise.
I'm feeling good. Thank
Good,
you.
I'm glad to hear that. You know, I had heard about
You know.
your diagnosis, you know, so
Yeah,
I'm glad to see that you're doing well.
I am. I
Yeah.
just got my hair back in.
Yes, yeah, I see that. You know, so, and then I just want to say, you know, thank you for marketing El Centro and the Imperial Valley as a whole. You know, it's good to know that we actually are on the map, you know, especially for a lot of these organizations that produce movies, videos, and so on, and documentaries, and, you know, so thank you. You know, so second, we hope that, you know, that more and more keep coming this way. So
On April 20th, is it 20th or 24th? One of those two dates. I'm going to get it mixed up in my head. We do have a music video coming out that was shot around the Salton Sea, but they stayed in El Centro, just so you know. And I'll send you that link.
Okay.
It's by Bree Runway. You may not know her. She's from the UK. But it's going to be a fabulous video, I can just tell.
wow.
That's great.
nice.
Well, thank you, Sean.
All right.
All right.
I'd just like to share, I commend you for the great work that you do. I appreciate all the marketing efforts that come into bringing in these production companies. So thank you so much for the great work that you do. And we really appreciate you being a partner here with the city of El Centro. I'm glad to see that you're feeling better and
I
going
am.
100%.
I am.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks,
And
Charlotte.
we'll get you that
Thank you.
meeting
Okay, thank you.
ASAP. We're
Thank
working
you.
on
I
it.
appreciate it.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Excellent. Moving us along on the agenda, this is the public comments portion. This is a public meeting. If there's an item on the agenda on which you wish to be heard, you are asked to complete a blue speaker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Persons wishing to address the council are not required to identify themselves. However, this information assists the mayor by ensuring that all persons wishing to address the council are recognized, and also assists the city clerk in preparing the city council meeting minutes. When the item is announced and your name is called by the mayor, please step to the podium, state your name for the record, and unless the mayor extends the time, there is a 3-minute time limit. Madam City Clerk, do you have any blue speaker slips?
No, none, ma'am.
All right, and other than the one that I have before me?
No, no,
All right, and is there anyone virtually?
no one.
All right, at this time then, I would like to go ahead and call up Miss Angela, Miss Rosa, Miss Alyssa, and Miss Ariana from the HOSA program, please.
Good evening, I'm Angela Romo, and my group and I are here representing Southwest High School. And my topic for today is tobacco use in the community. And as we may all know, tobacco use is a significant public health issue, as it does continue to be the leading cause of preventable death in the state. And we have firsthand witnessed the detrimental impact, as electronic cigarettes have become an overwhelming concern in both our schools and in our community. Hello, I'm Jose.
Yeah, you can
lift it.
lift
There you
it.
go.
There you go.
There you go.
Mhm.
So, hello, I'm Jose Ortega, and as a young individual, it's hard to avoid the constant exposure to tobacco. In many areas that we spend time with our friends and family, tobacco retailer is located nearby, as one of the retailers close to our high school is as close as 3,000 feet of our high school. Retailers are encouraging individuals to purchase through marketing tactics such as deals and products and fun advertisements. And in 2018, there were 30 retailers in El Centro, since we are currently at 37. Hello everyone, my name is Rosa Rubio, and as youth, we see what is happening at our schools and the impact tobacco has on our peers. We're here to raise awareness that we are being targeted and action is needed to protect not only ourselves, but our community and our future generations. We strongly support tobacco retail license as an effective tool to ensure local enforcement of all tobacco laws, reduce tobacco sales to youth, and eliminate the exposure of tobacco in the community.
Hi, I'm Mariana Rosales, and right here we have a poster from an activity which we did on the Take Down Tobacco Day at our school. And doing this activity, students were able to sign and pledge against tobacco use. And it's important for youth to be involved in such an important topic because we're the best advocates, not only for ourselves, but for our family, for our fellow peers, and for the future youth that will be affected by the tobacco industry if things don't change now. And these signatures show the youth's desire for change in the tobacco industry to happen as soon as possible. Thank you for your
Thank you. Ladies, if I could please just have just a quick minute, maybe you can introduce your program, the HOSA program, what it stands for and what you do, so that we can go ahead and share that information with our public.
Our HOSA program is a CTE program, and it's a student-led organization, which is for future health professionals. And we do different things. We have different classes, which include like dental assistant, which work towards getting skills to be a dentist, community health worker, which does different activities in the community and in our school to promote the health of the entire community. And we have other classes like sports medicine and first responder, which you get like different certifications. And these classes are important because they prepare us for like our future careers, and they let us get a starting advantage while we're young to be able to have a head up of others in the healthcare industry while we're in medical school. And we also get to compete in conferences, which we just went to the state conference like a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And we got to compete against all other groups in California to win like our top spots. And our dental science class, they got top 9 out of the whole California in the dental assistant competition event.
Wonderful. And I just want to commend you. I did get to see many of the pictures in which you participated at the state capitol, definitely representing our area, your school district, and we commend you for the great work. As far as your presentation, I'll go ahead and open it up to council if there's any feedback or comments that you'd like to provide for these young ladies.
Well, I would like to say that as a child growing up with a father that smoked and smoked throughout almost all of our entire lives, it's good to see that you're taking a stance on, tobacco against selling to minors and so on, because although it is against the law, it's not being enforced, it's just like, so retailers are just taking advantage of that. So, keep up the good work and keep protesting, because that's what it's going to take, to bring awareness to the community. And, as far as the HOSA program, and this is something, my niece was also a student at Southwest, and she participated in the dental assistant program. And after she graduated, she was able to go on, and she worked for a local orthodontist for a few years after that. So, it does really produce results, and it is a great program. So congratulations for your participation and for, the advances that you've made with this program. So thank you.
I would like to say, ladies, I have to say, I am so proud of you. So proud, because I know how difficult it may be to stand in front of a group like us. And maybe it's not. It's good if it's not. But where I'm trying to get to is that I want you to know that each of us recognizes the work behind what it takes to get to where you're standing, right? You had to do some research. You had to come together and talk about and brainstorm all the different things that are impacting folks your age, right? You finally decided on one, and then you went out and you started informing your colleagues. You started engaging your colleagues to sign a petition, right? And here you are now informing those elected officials that represent you to inform us what you're concerned about. And I know that we all have at one point or another wondered why the youth don't come to us and talk to us, even though if you ask us individually, I think we all think we're approachable. Sometimes I'm not on my best days and maybe I'm not, but I love the fact that you're here. And I love the fact that you're sharing with us these ideas that you have, and would certainly like to be able to learn more about things that affect you and things that affect your classmates, folks your age, because I will admit that I don't always get to engage with our youth and our grade school children, and yet there's that disconnect, right? Because I don't get to see you all every day, and I'm not an educator that's in school and whatnot. You may not necessarily feel like you can reach out, and I'm saying me, maybe my colleagues feel the same way, because there's that disconnect. But I love being exposed to what bothers you, because one day you will be my age, or one day you'll be sitting here, right? And I want to be able to work while I get to sit here, work towards making this community better for you all, so that when we give it back, right, because we're borrowing it from you, when we give it back to you, it's in a better condition than when we got it, right? So thank you again, and I'm very proud of you.
Great.
I just want to say thank you for being vocally involved. Our youth really needs to stand up, and I thank you for being an example. Keep going. Don't stop. Thank you.
And for me, ladies, I just want to commend you for the great work in getting the voice out to your peers and to our community. I appreciate the hard work that it takes to do the research and to get the information. So I appreciate you coming in and sharing this information. I'd like to invite you to come up, if you will, please, colleagues, allow us to take a picture. Emilio, if you could please come out. We'd like to take a picture. If you can please come up here up front, and we can take it with you.
Emilio. Oh, there you go.
Is everybody in?
He does that. You'll get used to it.
Thank you, ladies. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
great work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, ladies.
It's nice to meet you.
Thank you for your presentation, ladies.
I'm back, Cedric.
You know, there is so much power in the voice of our youth, and it's wonderful to
Yes.
see when it is exercised and given the opportunity and the platform to share in our community. So great. Our future is in good hands.
Yes.
All right, I will move us on to our consent agenda. Consent agenda items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may pull a consent item to be considered separately at the time determined by the mayor. So that is agenda items 3 through 19. Thank you. That motion was made by Councilmember Tomas Oliva, seconded by Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Sylvia Maraquin. Please vote. Thank you. Consent items approved 5-0. Moving us on to new business. I'm sorry, we're moving on to public hearings. Item 20. Approve and authorize an agreement with VIX Air Conditioning and Electrical for energy conservation facility pursuant to California Government Code Section 4217. Presenting Mr. Abraham Campos.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. I'm here with
evening.
you just as an update, but a continuation of progress here on our AC repair project or energy efficiency project here in the City Hall and actually in this chamber that we're sitting in today. As you may recall, last year we had some AC troubles here at City Hall that included the 3 buildings. Direction was given to proceed with design and do a permanent fix as opposed to the temporary fix that we have currently serving in the cooling for us right now. And we did so. We hired NEI, a local engineering company, and plans were developed. This is the next phase of that. As we move forward, we came back with an estimate of cost back in October, and Measure P was approved in the amount of 1.3 million. With that, we continued forward and we did an energy assessment, and the new system that is being proposed will result in cost savings to the city of El Centro. And with that information, we decided to take this and move forward and award this contract pursuant to California Government Code 4217.10 and through 4217.18. And this is a section of the contract of the government code that allows agencies to go directly with a vendor for energy services and bypasses or skips the requirement for a competitive bid. This only applies for energy efficiency project, which this is a project that complies with that. The government code does require a public hearing to be noticed 14 days in advance. That did occur on April 3, 2023. That notice went out in our local newspaper. And with that information, the public hearing provides for any member of the public to come in and question the findings of the energy study, as well as any concerns they might have with this award. With that, I request that we open a public hearing, hear any comments, and if after following and receiving public input, adopt resolution number 23 dash whatever it is. 41, which would be a resolution of the City Council of the City of Central making certain findings to approve a construction service agreement with Holtville Air Conditioning and Electrical as the DBA VIX Air Conditioning and Electrical for energy conservation facilities. As a follow-up, based on our estimate, we will be requesting as well an addition of 146,590 in Measure P, mainly as contingency in case that is needed. The 1.3 does cover the vast majority of what the 1.3 that was approved does cover the vast majority of the cost that is anticipated. However, we do want to have a cushion in case we encounter something that's unknown at this point. With that, I would look forward to opening public hearing and we can answer any questions. I think we have a representative here from VIX as well. They are a local contractor for our area and looking forward to moving forward with this. So with that, actually.
Thank you. So at this time, we are opening up the public hearing for this agenda item. Madam City Clerk, is there anyone that has submitted a blue speaker slip or comments made or requested virtually?
None, Mayor.
All right, then I will bring it back to council. This is our opportunity to ask any questions if we have any, or any feedback from Mr. Abraham.
Madam Mayor, I do.
Yes.
So Abraham, thank you, Madam Mayor. Abraham, I'm looking at the report, the cost summary, and I know that in general, the new HVAC system is expected to consume less energy, right?
Right.
So it's on table 120B, page, what is this? Packet page 436. It's showing like, the comparisons of the new HVAC, old HVAC in the cooling component, right? And so the annual cost is showing that the cooling component is actually more expensive in the HVAC than for the new one than the old one, right? And as I have scrolled down to look at this, even like on table 3, it says component cost as a percentage of total cost. The cooling system is 44.4 for the new HVAC as a percentage versus the old 34.2. So if I was not really paying attention and I'm looking at those things and I'm assuming the new HVAC is either stronger and that's why those numbers are more, or they're more expensive to operate.
So you're saying table one, and I apologize, I don't have the same printout with the page numbers, but you're saying
Yeah,
table one?
table one annual costs,
Mhm.
it'll say cooling, right? New
Yes.
HVAC in dollars, 8,834, 8,834, and then the old HVAC, it says 8,516. Now, generally, it's showing that our heating is going to be less expensive by 710 versus 2,800.
Mhm.
And so is that where we're going to see the savings? Not so much in the cooling, but in the heating?
It's just the way that the systems function. This one provides both, so there's savings. The engineer who prepared this is stating that the heating is less costly with this new system. So the overall yearly cost is at the end, when you combine the system, is results in cost savings and energy efficiency. There's also what's not reflected truly here is also all the you get credit for repairs and maintenance of the old system that are no longer going to be needed because of the new system. All of that is additional savings beyond the electricity cost.
Okay, and the rationale behind my question, Abraham, is just so that folks can feel comfortable that it's not less expensive to operate just because we said so. Like getting into the details as to why we're showing that it is, for example, table 2 on page 437, it's annual energy costs, right? Electrical kilowatt hours, 68,000 versus, for the new HVAC versus 83,000 for the old one.
Mhm.
And those savings is where the cost savings would be, right?
Right. So the new system uses less kilowatts, at 34%.
Perfect. So my last question is, considering we're going to be using less energy, does the new HVAC system qualify for a rebate or some sort of benefit from IID?
It does, and we already submitted the application.
Oh, nice. All right.
That was
Great.
gonna be my
Way ahead of
question.
it. Good job. Good job.
About the
Thank you to
rebates.
our local contractor for providing the information on the IED.
Right, all right.
Colleagues, any other questions?
No, thank
Just to
you.
double check, Madam City Clerk, no other comments through
No,
virtual
none, Mayor.
or, okay,
None received.
great. So with that, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And colleagues, if we can please move with direction.
For the additional,
It's a question for city clerk in terms of, this covers both motions, the approval of the contract and the budget.
Yes, it covers both.
Thank you, colleagues. We have, the mover was Councilmember Edgar Garcia, seconded by Councilmember Tomas Oliva. Please vote. Thank you. Item passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item 21, discussion and necessary action regarding a substantial amendment to the 2019-2020 Annual Action Plan for the allocation of the Community Development Block Grant COVID-19 funds to the Restaurant Meals for Seniors Program. Ms. Adriana Nava.
Hello, Honorable Mayor and Council. So a substantial amendment is typically processed when we are adding additional funds to a certain activity above a certain amount. And so today, you may recall that we had received funding that was identified as CDBG coronavirus when we were going through the pandemic. We received two rounds of funding. One was $333,000 and the other one was about $330,000. We went through different levels of review by council. Obviously, as our needs shifted, so did the funding. You may recall that originally we were purchasing thermometers, personal protective equipment, And then we also considered utility assistance because during that time, there were just different issues that were going on. So based on that, our current allocation and the recommended allocation is based on current needs. So for our loan program, it is getting more difficult for people to apply for this funding since the pandemic has been, it's now been years for that. So there would be a decrease on that item. For digital thermometers, we're pretty much done with that activity. And so we have some funding available that we can now reshift to the restaurant meals for seniors. We had partnered up with the area agency on aging, and they have been providing meals to seniors. And so we are allocating additional funding for that service, and that way we can continue to provide meals to seniors using this funding. You may recall also our report does include, and I recommend you look at that because our report also includes some discussion about what happens if we don't expend all the funding. We are at this moment foreseeing some of that. A lot of our funding had been shifted towards the Homeless Day Center. And because there were issues associated with that, Stacy has been in communication with our HUD rep to ensure that if something like that does happen, we have a workout plan in place. And I think that we can demonstrate to them that the effort is there, that we are going to be moving forward with expending the funds. It's just that the construction portion took a while, and so they're willing to work with us on that so far. But I do want to be transparent about it because it does involve, federal funding. Lastly, the program with the area agency on aging has been working out really well. I believe we are serving about 115 seniors. And so that helps, and it augments the other services that we do provide to our senior population, which is quite vulnerable. With that said, if there aren't any questions, kindly request to open up the public hearing. And also we do, our staff recommendation is to approve the substantial amendment. And then we would also have a 5-day public review period as part of that. And the review period would be from April 19 to April 23rd. And then upon conclusion of that amendment, we would submit it to HUD for their review and approval.
Wonderful.
Any
With that, I'll
questions?
go ahead, Council, I'll go ahead and open this portion for the public hearing. Madam City Clerk, is there a blue speaker slip or anyone remotely that has any comments? All right, that I will bring it back to our council for feedback, suggestions, or recommendations, if any.
It's a good idea.
All right. All right, so at this time then, since there are no other comments or feedback, I'm going to close the public hearing for this portion and asking my colleagues on direction. All right, so at this time, Councilmember Edgar Garcia has made the motion, second by Councilmember Sonia Carter. Please vote. Item passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Nava.
Thank you.
All right. This is under new business, agenda item number 22, approval of the resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for and manage grants for the Cal Recycle on behalf of the city of El Centro. And this presentation will be by Mr. Abraham Campos.
Hi, good evening again. This is a very quick item. This is a routine item in which we allow authority to IVRMA and the to submit our grant applications on behalf of the city of El Centro. This is an update to an old resolution. I'd be happy to answer any questions with that regard.
All right.
That concludes.
Questions, colleagues, on this item? All right. How would we like to move forward on this item? Thank you. Motion was made by Councilmember Tomas Oliva, seconded by Councilmember Sonia Carter. Please vote. Thank you. Item passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 23 on the agenda, budget update presentation fiscal year 2023. Ms. Carla Chaparro, Director of Finance. Hi.
Hey, good evening, honorable mayor and council members. Today I will be presenting the fiscal year 2023 budget review. The purpose of the major budget review is to provide city council a comprehensive review of the city's revenues and expenditures as of December 31, 2022, which is 50% of fiscal year 2023 elapsed. This review is also a great tool in analyzing the city's current financial position and its impact on future financial projections. Fund balance at fiscal year end 2022. So just to give you an idea where we began fiscal year 2023, and this is where we ended fiscal year 2022. So beginning fund balance at July 1st, 2021 was 18,190,503. We had revenues in fiscal year 2022 of 35,166,086 and expenditures of 31,936,451. We had a surplus of 3,229,635 and an ending fund balance at June 30 of 2022 of 21,420,138. After designations, we had a fund balance undesignated and reserved of 15,526,493. Moving on to the fiscal year 2023, starting in fiscal year 2023, our fund balance at July 1st, 2022 was 21,420,138. As of December 31st, 2022, our revenue was 15,799,241. Our expenses were 16,231,29. We have a small deficit of 403,888, and our fund balance as of December 31st was 21,016,250. After designations, our undesignated and reserved fund balance is 16,650,937. Our general fund revenues. So looking into the city's general fund revenues more closely, our most revenue sources, in exception of 3, are on track, meaning they are 50% more or less. Focusing on the 3 that are not at 50%, which are sales tax, TOT, and other taxes. Sales tax is at 40%. The reason why sales tax is at 40% is that it only includes collections up to November of 2022. And that's only 5 months of the fiscal year, and the reason for that is because deposits are 2 months behind. If we were to consider the December 2022 deposit, which we received in February, the percentage would be 52 instead of 40%.
Okay.
TOT is 46%. It includes collections for most hotels up to November of 2022. Same thing here. If we were to consider December 2022 payments, which we also received in February, the percentage would be 58 instead of 46. And the category of other taxes, which includes franchise tax, business licenses, and real property tax, is at 38, that being the lowest. The reason why is because in that category, we have natural gas franchise tax. That is we only get one payment a year, and that's in April. And we have not received that as of yet. Cable franchise tax is a quarterly payment, and as of December, we had only received one quarter, ending in September 30, 2022. Business license tax is collections continuous throughout the year. By December 2022, we had only billed 2 cycles out of 4 cycles. And in real property tax, we had monthly collections up to November of 2022. General fund expenditures by department. So moving on to general fund expenditures. General fund expenditures for the most part are all below 50% except two, which is general government and transfer outs. General government, the reason why this division is higher is due to a few high-ticket expenditures that are due and paid in full at the beginning of the fiscal year. These are our liability and property insurance, which is 1.3 million, LAFCO dues, which are 168,000, and IVRMA membership dues, which is 83,000. Transfer outs is 100%. This was a transfer out of 55,000 to cover salaries for special events per previous council direction. General fund expenditures by category. This pie graph shows the distribution of our general fund expenditures as of December 31, 2022 by percentage. Salaries and benefits make up 79%, which is the majority of it. Then you have supplies and services at 20% and capital outlay at 1%. Moving on to the enterprise fund, we have water revenues and expenses. Water sales are at 51%. This is water fund. And total revenue is 52%. Total expenses are 43%, so it's doing really well. This is the wastewater fund revenues and expenditures. Wastewater treatment fees are 51%. Total revenue is 52%. Total expenses are 46%, also doing very well. And overall, the financial results for the first 6 months of the fiscal year look adequate and are deemed to be on track for both the general fund and the enterprise fund. Any questions?
Colleagues, this portion of the agenda
Wow.
is for discussion. There isn't an action item on it, but this is just an opportunity to receive the information and if there's any questions. Yes?
Is anyone surprised? No,
No.
I'm not trying to be a pest, honestly. You showed me something and I immediately thought, what is it? If you can go back where you're showing about the general fund,
Yes.
please.
General fund. Revenues or
Right here, yes.
expenditures or?
No, that graph right there. And this is more to kind of give you a softball to dispel a misconception that people have in the community. And I hear it all the time where it's, oh, I got a speeding ticket. Oh, of course, because the city needs money, right? Because we're somehow arbitrarily instructing our law enforcement to go out in order for us to meet the balance sheets of our budget. It's because we're just living off of, these fines and whatnot. And I know that not to be true, having been here for going on 5 years. But then I see this last line, it says fines, other revenue, and our original budget was like 2.5 close, and then we're revised now 2.9. And I thought there's about $500,000 in increase in what we thought we were gonna get and what we're all getting. So I just really would like an explanation, like where that $500,000 that difference was.
You're talking about the original budget versus the revised budget?
Correct.
Looking at the 2.4 versus the 2.9. But that one is made up of, so it is different fines it is some fines that come up from the PD, a few fines that do come from the PD. It's other revenue such as, we have like all our recreation revenue, our recreational activities that come into this account. So it might be made up of that. We did go back. So what happened also that I did see was that there was a big jump when we went from having halted all recreational activities the previous fiscal year to we had no recreational revenue coming in and actually no expenditures as well. To where we went back to having like full-on recreational activities, and we were having all this activity come back in and then having all these expenditures come back in. So it might be part of that as well.
It's a good explanation. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other feedback? I would just like to take this opportunity to thank our interim city manager and all of our department heads taking a look at the percentage and where we're at. Thank you so much for staying within those confines of the 50%. And I know that takes a lot of work and planning to get us and to stay in that range where we're supposed to be. So thank you for the great work and being
you.
fiscally, right, responsible
yeah.
with our
Mhm.
budget. So I thank everyone for making sure that we're on track. All right. Any other feedback on that? No? Thank you, Ms. Chaparro. I appreciate it. Thank you. I know we get to see
Yeah.
5 or 6 slides, but we know that it takes hours upon
Yes.
hours
Mm.
to put this presentation together.
Yes.
So thank you. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
All right, moving us on to legislative action, letter of support for AB 918 from Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia's office for Imperial Valley Healthcare District. Who will be doing the presentation? Thank you, Interim City Manager.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. So the item before you is here for discussion and direction in relation to the letter of support. As you're aware, and you guys are very intimate with this particular item, there's significant barriers that prevent Imperial County residents to have quality access to healthcare services here in Imperial County. For some, it has to do with inability to find a primary care provider. For others, it has to do with medical and surgical specialties not being available in the area. I think at one time or another, we probably all have suffered from excessive wait times for medical care, whether you go and sit at the doctor's office or you're looking for urgent care, because that's also lacking in our area. Additionally, for those that don't have personal transportation, public transportation to access is also a barrier to getting quality healthcare. And if we go back to COVID-19, right, during the heaviest part of the pandemic, that also created a lack of access for some, simply because they didn't want to be exposed. So unfortunately, El Centro Regional Medical Center has joined the ranks of about 50 hospitals across the state and multiple others across the nation. And our country, finds itself in a crisis related to the availability of healthcare services in communities across the country. Basically, here we have the potential that exists that if either one of the 2 facilities that currently provide healthcare services in Imperial County were to go away, the community as a whole would be impacted heavily. So AB 918 would allow the formation of a new healthcare district that would encompass Heffernan, Calexico, PMH, Imbrali, and El Centro Regional Medical Center. This would require that the healthcare district, the new healthcare district to file, or actually the current healthcare districts to file a resolution of application to LAFCO to initiate the proceedings to create a district. Additionally, it would also require the County Board of Supervisors to place an approval of the district creation on the ballot at the next countywide election following the completion of the commission proceedings. In essence, it would dissolve the Heffernan Memorial Healthcare District and transfer assets, rights, and responsibilities to the new district as well. It would require that the current board be expanded from 5 members to 7 members. It would also require the board to adopt a resolution to divide Imperial Valley Healthcare District into voting districts for the purpose of electing members, beginning with the next district election. And also, it would create the expansion and funding for approval by the voters in March of 2024 election. I'm available to answer any questions if need be.
Great. Thank you, Interim City Manager. Colleagues, is there any additions or feedback that you'd like to add on this item?
Well, just that this is essentially the bill that we've been advocating for in order to save the healthcare system in Imperial Valley as we know it. So it's of utmost importance that this get approved, not only in Sacramento, but also by our voters here at home. That's how we're going to ensure that healthcare, as we know it, is improved and remains for the future. That's going to be of the utmost importance. Like I said, we we have some work ahead of us, but this is a great first step in showing our support as a city for something that's not only just going to benefit us, but also the entirety of the Imperial Valley. So I give my complete support towards this, as I have from the beginning. And I know that we will send a strong message with Assemblyman Garcia. And I also thank him and his office for all of the diligent hard work that they have undertaken in order for helping us solve this problem at a state level.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Any other council members that would like to provide any feedback at this time?
I would, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
And that is that, so for those of you that may be interested, Councilmember Garcia and I will be assisting the Assembly member at the next hearing, or at its first hearing next week. And we're excited, nervous, just because, you know, I haven't been in Sacramento in a good minute to testify in front of a committee in a good minute. But I look forward to it because we are convinced that everything that we went through during COVID was unfair for this entire region, to where I think maybe our employees at the hospital would know better. I know our public safety would know better, to where once upon a time, there was a time where we couldn't look at you in the face and tell you exactly how many ICU beds were available. We couldn't tell you how many existed. We couldn't even tell you, you know, how many were at Pioneers versus El Centro Regional. That I think that for those of us that were constantly being informed, it was eye-opening to understand that our current system, that when stuff hit the fan, it really did not work in our best interest. And it showed, right? So you add the level of service that we have, and then you talk about how many of us who have the ability to realize what you need and what you have, there's a gap here. So now you have to go somewhere else. And you have to go to San Diego, you have to go to Riverside County, you have to go to other areas. And now you look at our finances, right? All the systems are struggling. That's none of that is a coincidence, and it's not struggling for the first time or even the second time. There are folks that sat here once upon a time that tried 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So this is not something that is brand new, and yet it's a can that was kicked down the road. And what we're saying is enough is enough. No more kicking the can. We recognize that we need one system that is able to sustain all of us, that's able to provide. And we are really trying to dream of a system that could provide you exactly what you need, so that you don't have to feel like you have to go to San Diego or elsewhere to get it. A system that could sustain itself and that is able to attract doctors with expertise, right? That decide to come here because it's a system that they see themselves associating themselves with. It's a system that they want to be part of because, there is experience, right? You want to be busy when you're a doctor in order to perform. And I know that, for example, in our obstetrics, we had less than 600 births a year. And the feedback that I'm getting right now is that, wow, we're on our toes. We're experiencing all of it. So you imagine the staff that is just more prepared now to deal with birthing because of the fact that the volume that's coming in, right? So that in itself is a system that attracts. So long story short, this is something that we believe that we need one system that can provide us with the services that we need. And so this bill does exactly that. And so I know that Heffernan Memorial is supportive. I know that Pioneers is supportive in concept. And if you notice that slight detail, it's deliberate. They're supportive of the concept. There's just a little disconnect. And so what this bill does is unify. This bill would allow for us to be able to create a system that a new board, a new everything, right? And I can't say this enough, that we are diligently working towards an outcome where we are no longer on the board. Our aspirations are not to continue being in that type of position of power. And so for anyone that would wonder why we're doing this, it's because we really do believe that this is in your best interests. And it's not just in the best interests of El Centro residents, it's in the best interests of residents that live in Bombay Beach, that live in Winter Haven, that live in Hopeville, that live in Sealy, because although it says El Centro Regional Medical Center on the building, that building services way beyond just El Centro. And we recognize what would happen if one of the systems were to fall. And I think it's that fear that drives us to push, although it may seem kind of strange that for us to push and not accept failure or anything less as an ulterior option, because the reality would be that if any of these systems were to fail, it would be very detrimental. And we talked about it earlier today that there's a community in Madera where their hospital was allowed to close earlier this year or late last year, and they are now seeing how detrimental that was and the rippling effects of that community and what that means in terms of the quality of life. And so I want you all to know that we will not allow that, and we are trying to make sure to not allow that because it is important to us. So that is why wholeheartedly I support this bill and hope that that you all as well, as Mr. Garcia mentioned.
Thank you for that. And I would just like to say that I share the same sentiments that my colleagues Garcia and Oliva just expressed, and that I am in complete support of AB, this assembly bill. And because, think about a community without healthcare, that would just be completely devastating to our community. And so that's why I strongly support this bill. And thinking back to when I was running for this elected position, that was one of the issues that I was hoping to be able to help address, is to maintain a sound financial healthcare system here in Imperial Valley. And, the reality is that neither of the two hospitals can continue operating this way, and to unify is really the only way to solve this issue. And so, again, I state my support for AB 918, and I thank Assemblymember Garcia's office and all of his staff for the help, the support that they've given us. And, and not only that, it's just the timeliness that they've composed this legislation, and it's amazing. We've only been on this maybe the last 2 or 3 months.
Yes.
And so we're looking forward to positive results next week. Hopefully we'll have some solid answers, for the community, maybe by next month.
Wonderful. That my colleagues definitely left nothing unsaid, and I strongly agree with you guys. I'm soaking all of that in, as well as the community. So very nicely said.
Wonderful. Just to take this opportunity to share that we are in a place where we are pioneering what the health services will look like here in the Imperial Valley. And with that takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of strategic planning to get to this point. We are building and we have the blueprint of what the healthcare system will look like here in the Imperial Valley, so that it will benefit all of us in the future. I commend my colleagues and Assemblyman Eduardo Garcia's office for working on this item as quickly as we have. Healthcare is of an essence to all of us residents here in the Imperial Valley. And therefore, with that, we will move forward with Assemblyman Eduardo Garcia being our shepherd through this process. And I thank my colleagues for moving us forward and being those community ambassadors to making sure that we're getting this information out to our constituents, and as we move forward and when it gets to the ballot measure. So with that, I'll ask for a motion. I see that Councilman Councilmember Tomas Olivas was the mover, seconded by Councilmember Edgar Garcia. Please vote. Thank you. Letter of support passes 5-0. All right, moving on to item number 25, letter of support for Senate Bill 534, Senator Padilla's office, equitable access to job opportunity pilot program. Interim City Manager.
Madam Mayor, once again, for your consideration, discussion, and direction, the Equitable Access to Job Opportunity Pilot Program is looking to address a gap between what are viewed as two distinct Californias, two California economies, those of rural and inland communities versus those of the coastal state of California. And in rural and inland communities, definitely there's a higher unemployment rate. It also is affected by lower educational attainment in some of those inland areas. The bill is trying to address also the fact that more families in rural and inland communities are struggling to put food on the table. And there's also less exposure to knowledge and technology industries across those areas. It seeks to remedy the situation by doing a few things. One is establishing the Equitable Access to Job Opportunity Pilot Program, which will provide access to the workforce development training and education. The bill would be administered by the Workforce Development Board and the Office of Planning and Research. Those would provide individuals without post-secondary education degrees with financial aid for workforce development training, as well as providing training in education in key industries. The bill would also have the creation, with the help of the board and the office, would work with local stakeholders, including the local workforce development boards, and securing opportunities and building pathways and partnerships for the disadvantaged communities. This bill or this letter of support is before you for your discussion and consideration.
Thank you. Colleagues, feedback or comments on this item that's being presented before us? I think anytime that
know
we're
you're-
looking at an opportunity, huh?
No, I just like, I look to my colleagues and I feel like they think I want to say something. I do, but I'm holding back. It's discipline. We're not going to say anything. I'm good.
Are you going to say something?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I think anytime that there's an opportunity to enhance and provide educational opportunities that will lead to a job, right, is always a great opportunity to support and encourage these types of access and opportunities in our community. So with that, I'll go ahead and entertain. A motion has been made by Councilmember Tomas Oliva, seconded by Councilmember Edgar Garcia. Please vote. Thank you so much. Item passes 5-0. All right, moving us on to task force reports. Ms. Carter, would you like to go first?
Oh, yes. Mine this week is short and sweet. We did attend the telecommunication luncheon. Very nice event at the police department. And that just really woke up a spirit in me, not to be thankful that day, but we need to be thankful all year long. After hearing the stories of how they work so hard behind the scenes and we don't have a clue. So now we do. So I'm very thankful for all the hard work that they do. That was very nice. And then we had a special city council meeting. I'm sure our Madam Mayor will elaborate on that. And that is my task force report this time.
Great. Councilmember Oliva, would you like
Yes,
to go
thank
next?
you, Madam Mayor. So my time has been spent paying a lot of attention, obviously, to ECRMC. But what I will state is that, along with some of my colleagues within the last 2 weeks, has been participating in Zoom calls with the Assembly Member's Office, with UC San Diego, to work on the language, because the bill has been amended since within the last 2 weeks. And also to make sure that we are putting together a plan of action on how to inform the public about what this is about. I was criticized earlier today, and I accept it, that I'm not doing a good enough job in informing the public as to what the work is, what is necessarily on the bill and whatnot. And I think that I get so caught up in taking care of this kind of stuff that I do forget to pause and focus on that outreach, right? That element. And so I certainly know that we are planning to do a lot of that stuff right now, and it may not be necessarily in the time frame that is as quick as some folks might like, but certainly know that we are doing our best to putting together this piece of legislation, and that there's plans of action for public outreach, such as social media. There's roundtables in place. There's traditional media outlets that we're going to be looking into. And so our hope is to not do this in a vacuum, right? And I think my colleagues would agree with that it is about informing as many folks as possible. And I believe, if I'm correct, I know that the Madam Mayor and Madam Mayor Pro Tem are looking into meeting with the other mayors and mayor pro tems of the other cities to be able to have that one-on-one and explain and give an update as to what's going on in the hospital and what this bill means and what it would look like, because we do want to make sure that we're mindful of the effects, right, the impacts that it has on other cities. So the last thing that I'll share with you, colleagues, is, or second to last, right? I don't want to forget the dispatchers appreciation luncheon. That was it. We say it every year, right? And it has to be said again that our dispatchers are exposed to the most frantic, tense, high anxiety phone calls you'll ever get, right? I'm reminded of Dave Chappelle's stand-up where he says, nobody calls 911 calm, cool, and relaxed. Like, hi 911, how are you? How's it going, right? Like, nobody does that. You call 911, you are frantic, right? You know what I'm talking about, Chief Bruno? So I do know that, interim city manager mentioned a few years back, and it echoes in my mind that many of them will not complete that full circle of closure to whatever that frantic call that they get. I can only theoretically imagine it and wrap my head around what that means. But to live it, right, every day is something that they have accepted and have decided to take on. And we can only be forever grateful and thankful that they have decided to do that and found healthy ways to cope with that anxiety. And certainly know that we are here to help with those healthy and constructive coping mechanisms for them, and that we do appreciate everything that they do. So thank you for that. And lastly, the announcement of our new CEO at El Centro Regional Medical Center, Pablo Velas. And so we're excited to welcome him, and that was part of my report to you all.
Wonderful. Thank you. Councilmember Edgar Garcia.
Well, I just got back from an eventful trip to Sacramento. I was there for the League of California Cities Conference for Legislative Day and also for their Board of Directors meeting. I can talk a lot about what we discussed there, but I want to hit some key points. Is that there is a lot of legislation that is being proposed right now out of the Assembly that is directly addressing a lot of the issues that we are facing here in this county, not only at a city level, but at a county level, such as crime, fentanyl, homelessness, housing. All of these issues are being addressed currently in one manner or another in Sacramento. And the League of California Cities is being very proactive in getting all of the cities to be writing these letters of support towards these bills, and also advocating at a state level, and also during the conferences to the Board of Directors and the different members of advocacy groups and third-party advocates that are present, in order to let them know what work is being done and explaining it, having presentations. We had a presentation from a representative from the Attorney General's office discussing fentanyl and what they're trying to do. So what they're trying to do to address that issue is they're trying to give the existing drug laws that we have in the books that were essentially gutted by Prop 47 back their teeth as it applies to fentanyl. That means sentencing enhancements for selling, sentencing enhancements for weight, and also sentencing enhancements if, God forbid, through their activity of selling this dangerous, toxic chemical on the street, the person who buys it dies or gets irreparably injured. All these sentencing enhancements will send a strong message that it will not be tolerated in our communities. And this is a bill that I would personally support, and I think that a lot of the cities and the League of California Cities is also supporting. That's one aspect of it. There's another aspect where they're addressing homelessness, but the homelessness issue has now diverged, because if you really do the research behind homelessness, it's not just a situation where people can't find affordable housing. Affordable housing in California is a crisis. That's something that needs to be addressed. However, there is a very, very large mental health component to homelessness. And that mental health component is also tied to the use of illicit narcotics on the street. It's called chemically induced psychosis. And this is being observed day in and day out throughout all of the large municipalities in the state of California and across the country. So what they are trying to do is proposing a bill that will change some of the definitions in how we can address this mental health crisis legally in order to help the people that are in the most need of help, who do not have the mental capacity or faculty to help themselves. And this is something that we currently cannot do because of the strict regulations on how you can treat the mentally ill. So they're trying to change how that is approached by changing the definitions used in the law, which will allow us to be more proactive and help these people that really need help. So that's one of the mental health issues that's being addressed through legislation. The other one being, of course, Care Court, which is below that. It's another organization that was proposed and created by the governor in order to help with the mental health issue that is leading to this surge in homelessness. But I think that the theme of the meetings that I attended and the discussions that were had were that it's a three-prong approach. There's a public safety aspect, there's a mental health aspect, and there's a housing aspect. Yes, California is severely underhoused. The average person in California cannot afford a home. The median price of a home in California right now is about $824,000. That far exceeds almost every home that we have in this city of El Centro. And that's the median in California. So yes, there has to be affordable housing that needs to be built in a smart way to encapsulate the culture of their community and to better help these people have affordable housing. However, that does not mean that all of these cities need to lose their ability to decide what happens within their own borders. And that comes down to a discussion of local control, because it's not something that you can just redline and say, we're going to do this and apply it to all of California, because El Centro is not the same as Los Angeles. Los Angeles is not the same as Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is not the same as San Francisco. Every single city needs a different approach, and who better to know that than the elected officials that live in those cities? However, some of these assembly bills that are being proposed to deal with this housing issue, some of them favor local control, some of them do not. The League of California Cities is pushing for amendments on the ones that do not, in order to retain our rights so we don't get a mandate from Sacramento that tells us we need to do X, Y, and Z that does not work here. So we need to support them in trying to get these amendments done. However, the heart of the language, the heart of the bill itself is very, very well received by the League of California Cities, and they're willing to advocate and work with the committees and the individual assembly members in order to get this type of legislation passed to approach the housing crisis prong of this three-prong approach to fix some of this homelessness issues that we're having here. But the public safety is going to be extremely important. They're also making other moves by supporting bills that are stripping away some of the restrictions that were put on law enforcement from Prop 47, that were put on district attorneys from Prop 47 on what they can charge and how they can charge it, which has led to a substantial, astronomical increase in retail theft and petty crime. And that has been seen throughout the state. So that's something that we've experienced here. That's something they experience in bulk in San Francisco. Downtown San Francisco is shutting down flagship stores like their city is closing because of this issue. But if these bills get passed, then they will allow law enforcement and the district attorneys in their respective counties to take action against these type of crimes in order to address that prong of the issue. So these are the issues that we had discussed. I can go on and on to discuss about all of the great meetings and ideas that were passed around, but what I presented to you today is the hard core of what they're planning on doing and what is on the table now. So all of these ideas are great and they're all moving forward and there's a lot more coming, but it's wonderful to see that we have things that we can support now, things that will have a lasting impact starting now. If we want true change and we want to see the face of California changed in terms of these internal crises that we're facing, we need to take action. And these are the steps that are rewriting our law, changing the definitions in order to give us the tools to take action. Apathy is not something we can have right now. We need to be proactive and we need to find solutions. And these solutions that are being proposed are some of the most dramatic that have been proposed in over a decade. And I briefed the council about it, and we'll be discussing these bills as they go through the pipelines, just like we're talking about AB 918 and all of these other issues. But Sacramento is really being proactive right now with their assembly bills that are being put forward in order to try to stem these crises that we have in California. And the League of California Cities is standing by their side as partners. And with that, all of the cities that are represented by them. And that's what I was there in Sacramento doing, advocating on behalf of not only the city, but as division director for Imperial County. And I got to tell you, this is some of the most exciting work that I've seen since all of the years that I've been involved with the League of California Cities. They are really moving because somebody has to solve these issues. And when people step forward and try to do it, you need to support them. You need to stand by their side. You need to be active in that. And starting from a community level all the way to Sacramento, that's the only way we will get this done.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for your great work. We really appreciate it and your passion and
Yes,
really
I
leading
was-
us in that direction. Councilmember Edgar. Mayor Pro Tem?
Wow. That was a very passionate presentation. Councilmember Garcia, thank you so much. That was a lot of information, but I know it's so important to not only our community, but the state. So really, we really appreciate that. So since our last meeting, we were, as elected officials and many different organization leaders, were invited to a roundtable discussion with Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz. And so he invited top advisors from the Biden administration on to advocate for this new infrastructure law. And the gentleman's name was Mitch Landrieu, is that correct?
Mitch Landrieu.
Landrieu. I was close. Okay, so it was a roundtable discussion to present all of the different funding opportunities that are available to municipalities, to counties, and so the takeaway that I got from that was that we all need to come together to go after some of these funding opportunities, and so we must do our homework to see what's out there, and to go after the funding for additional resources here in our city and throughout the county. I too have been involved with some of the meetings with Assemblymember Garcia and his staff to move and push forward this AB 19 bill. And so, we're just, I just feel proud to be a part of this. And once we look back on this a few months down the road, it's just like maybe a year from now, it'll be a huge accomplishment on our part. And I think it'll be something that we are all going to be very proud of. I attended I know that our last meeting, we presented a proclamation for Autism Awareness Month. And so they were also very inviting to us to attend their autism fair. So I was out there in Imperial. And I personally have a little great nephew that's autistic. And so it was, not only fun activities for the children, but also a lot of resources that are available to families for family members that are experiencing, these developmental issues. And so I too was in attendance at the press conference to announce the hiring of the new CEO at ECRMC. And, I'm proud to say that with my colleague Garcia, we were the subcommittee that interviewed the candidates that applied for the positions. And so proud to say that I think we had a part in hiring Mr. Velez. And so that same day also attended the National Dispatchers luncheon to recognize, the dispatchers. And, we know and we count on them, being there. And if you really think about it, they're the lifeline between, that person that is in that very stressful moment to the first responders that are there to come out and help. So, we really appreciated the recognition that was given to them. And so also proud to be a part of that. I was out at the dive-in aquatic, at the aquatic center, the spring dive-in and movie night at the aquatic center. So I was in awe of how many people were out there that evening. And I know that Rebecca shared with me that, the numbers are just like skyrocketing as far as numbers that were in attendance and that are using the facility. And so, hopefully, she'll have some luck with I know that she shared with me that she is looking to hire additional staff and oh my gosh, it skipped my mind. Lifeguards. I was going to say, I was thinking of lifesavers.
Close.
And so, hopefully, we will be able to have enough support out there to accommodate the large numbers of users of our facility that are already going out there. So, oh my gosh, what else? Day after tomorrow, we have our meeting with the downtown merchants. So we're getting ready for that because I'm sure that we're going to get an earful. And so that concludes my report.
Wonderful. Great. Many of the activities that have been shared already, I've had the opportunity to participate with my colleagues, but just to have this opportunity to talk about ICTC on April the 6th, had the opportunity, we had an unmet transit needs hearing, which allows organizations and community members to speak about just that, transportation needs in our area. And one of those needs definitely is the time that it takes from traveling from Calexico all the way to the north end of our county. Also heard back from many of our students, both from San Diego State and Imperial Valley College, asking for more routes or a direct route when it comes to accessing transportation and higher education. So that was great. Again, our ECRMC hospital press conference, great event at the Aquatic Center. It was wonderful to see so many happy families enjoying the Aquatic Center. It was a great event. I want to guesstimate. Can I get at least an estimate of how many individuals participated? Would you say, Rebecca? Yeah,
Yeah,
at least
that
600, and it
was-
was great. There was vendors also
Mhm.
that were available and accessible, and of course, the movie was absolutely wonderful. Great event on Saturday as well. Had the opportunity to attend the El Centro Firefighters Association's Mike Benavides softball tournament. That was great. Um, in addition to that, I also had the opportunity to attend the Coyotes, our youth motorcycle program that we have, and I have invited them to come to our next city council meeting so our youth can share what that event was. It was a leadership camp that really allowed our youth to experience one, right? Riding their motorcycles and the safety behind it, respect for the desert, and had the opportunity to actually stay in some of the travel trailers that were provided through Department of Social Services. But I don't want to give it all away because they're going to come in and they're going to share their experience. But it all comes down to this, right? The power in our youth and the opportunity to provide leadership opportunities. Had the opportunity to participate in the second annual Autism Fair. I was dunked a good 40 times. Me and my hair survived. It was a great event. I think what's important is when we think about a resource fair and really highlighting the resources that are available to family, but it's a safe place to ask questions and to get the information about accessing services for our family members. And it's in a safe place and definitely an opportunity for inclusion and acceptance. Had the opportunity to bowl as well through our strike zone. The autism bowling opportunity was provided to families at no cost, and that was great. That was provided through the Rotary Club from El Centro. Earth Day will be this Saturday, 10 o'clock. We will be planting trees at the new dog park that's being worked on. So please, we invite our community to participate in that wonderful event as we attended the dispatchers luncheon. I think many times we forget we do a very high stressful job, and especially for our dispatchers, and then they come home and then they have to become wife, mother, aunt, or grandmother, right? Or head of household in their families, and the work in their home needs to continue after having such a difficult day. Really excited to share, have a great opportunity to represent our city. I've been invited to the Home Key Conference, in which I will be serving on a panel in Sacramento next Friday to talk about our Lotus Living, our tiny home. So really taking the opportunity to share how it went from a concept and an idea to where it actually has become a home to so many of our homeless college students that are no longer homeless. So that's a great opportunity to showcase and highlight the great work that we do and the innovation that we have here in the city of El Centro. I think that's it for me. That's my report. I'll hand it over to our city manager for your report, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So like some of our staff members as well as council, I had the opportunity to attend the roundtable for infrastructure here at our city library. And it's great to see that the library is already paying dividends, right? And it's a place in which we can come together and, you know, share of good information that could be beneficial not only to El Centro, but to the whole county. I also attended the National Telecommunications Week celebration. Thank you to the command staff of the police department for taking that pause, making the pause happen for our dispatchers so they can actually take a moment to eat uninterrupted for once. And, you know, as is mentioned before, you know, I have a high regard for our dispatchers and all our city employees, but, you know, our dispatchers during this week I recognize for their hard work and their special link, a very strong link between those people who call 911 and the services that they are asking for. And it goes from an ambulance for somebody who's sick or a police officer during a robbery to public works. You know, there's a water leak somewhere in the city. They handle and manage all those. I also had the opportunity to meet our new hospital CEO. I had also the opportunity to have a one-on-one with him yesterday and kind of share ideas and some of our concerns as a community. He's super ready to go and engaged and took a lot of notes, so that was great. I also, along with Madam Mayor, I had the opportunity to look at the Coyotes rodeo training, And I'll tell you that as a first responder, I have, over 30 years of experience. And I probably have more than 30 to 40 instances in which people, especially young people, have suffered tragic injuries, which either they don't recover from or they die from. So this particular project or program from our city is, incredibly valuable for the community. Having firsthand experience goes a long way. So a huge hoorah to everybody, from the people that provided breakfast to Pat, being out there camping. They get the whole experience. Like if they are actually out in the desert camping, they have the travel trailers. And last but not least, I'd like to recognize some of our city employees today for this meeting. There's 3 very small but powerful teams that do a lot of work for our city. One of them is Madam City Attorney sitting next to me. I, grown to appreciate Betsy for the force that she is to be reckoned with, and the many years of experience. And I learn every day that I sit next to her. I get to talk to her on the phone. Also, our city clerk's office. When we're on deadline and we're running out of time, and you're asking them to please open up the agenda so we can, get some last minute items in there, they graciously do it. So thank you guys. We appreciate you guys very much for that. And then in the city manager's office, we have, a couple of team members that do quite a bit of work. So Cindy definitely does, a ton of work. We just have Michelle, who just started with us in the office to help us streamline some of that work. So thank you for the work that you guys do, Betsy, and the city clerk's office.
They're all women.
Absolutely. So thank you.
All right, wonderful. And no other feedback, comments? This meeting is adjourned. Go home to your families.
Oh.